An 18th century battlefield was a sensory nightmare. Black powder weapons produced massive amounts of thick, white smoke with every volley, and within minutes of the first shots, visibility drops to near zero. Early Continental Army militias rarely had matching uniforms. Some men wore homespun civilian clothes, others wore hunting shirts. In the haze of combat, telling friend from foe by looking at the person next to you was nearly impossible. The consequences of this confusion were deadly. Soldiers easily lost sight of their commanding officers, breaking formation and drifting away from their defensive lines right in the middle of a firefight. To solve this chaotic breakdown in command, armies relied on the regimental battle flag. Long before the colonies agreed on a single national flag, these highly visible, distinct local markers were the primary communication lifelines used to direct moving troops. If you were caught in the terrifying noise and smoke of a skirmish, spotting a brightly colored piece of silk waving above the fray was the only way to know where your unit was and who you needed to follow to survive. Because early regiments were raised locally, the immediate geography and the distinct culture of their hometowns heavily influenced their flag designs. Take the Green Mountain Boys, a militia from the New Hampshire land grants who fought under their own unique colors at the Battle of Bennington in 1777. Their flag featured a dark green field. While bright red and blue banners stand out clearly to the enemy, a green flag provided this militia with practical camouflage while moving and fighting through the dense New England forests. Compare that to the Schenectady Liberty flag. Carried by the 1st New York Line Regiment, this homemade blue silk banner reflected the highly localized civic protests of their specific New York community. These localized symbols took on a different role during static, grueling sieges, acting as vital psychological anchors for the men trapped inside. During the intense defense of Fort Moultrie, British artillery actually shot the local crescent moon flag completely away. Realizing the danger, defenders immediately replaced the banner under heavy fire to prevent a panic and keep the troops from routing. At Fort Mifflin, the defenders absorbed the largest naval bombardment in North American history up to that point, enduring over 10,000 cannonballs. Keeping a local flag flying during these relentless barrages served a hard tactical purpose. It proved to the men in the dirt and the enemy ships in the harbor that the defensive line remained intact. Shifting focus to the Southern theater, the fighting here was defined by intensely fractured and bloody campaigns. At the decisive Battle of Cowpens in 1781, American soldiers carried the specific flag of the 3rd Maryland Regiment into the fight, even though that unit had recently been disbanded. The men simply rallied around a familiar marker. Soon after, militiamen at the bloody Battle of Guilford Courthouse fought under a visually distinct flag featuring a unique pattern of elongated red and blue stripes. These Southern militias also utilized fearsome, unorthodox local imagery to actively project hostility and intimidate advancing British forces. The Culpeper Minutemen marched with a flag displaying a coiled rattlesnake, a deadly native threat specifically chosen as a localized warning to the enemy. In these chaotic Southern campaigns, a regimental flag functioned as a psychological weapon aimed straight at the British lines, while simultaneously serving as a rallying point for disorganized militias. The culmination of this localized fighting style occurred at the final major siege of Yorktown in 1781. This map shows the troop positions during the siege. Instead of a standardized block, American lines are a complex patchwork of regional militias. Despite earlier flag resolutions, there was zero standardization on the battlefield. The trenches remained divided by varying, segmented unit markers. At the surrender, hundreds of entirely unique regimental variations flew right alongside the highly standardized banners of the French and British armies. The Revolutionary War was won by a sprawling coalition of fiercely independent local groups, fighting under their own colors. The intense local loyalty forged under these specific regimental flags outlived the end of the conflict. Many of these practical battlefield designs became permanent fixtures. The crescent moon, defended under fire at Fort Moultrie, remains the central icon on the modern state flag of South Carolina. The familiar stars and stripes we recognize today ultimately grew out of dozens of these highly unique, hyper-local banners. Without these distinct, visible lifelines cutting through the smoke, the organized colonial forces would have simply been swallowed by the fog of war.